A tragic crash of the Tejas aircraft fighter jet in Dubai Air Show has resulted in the death of the pilot who was flying it. Absolutely tragic what is happening, and my colleagues Shiv Arur and Vishnu Shom has been right on top of this story, giving us all the little details and of course making our understanding better of what could have happened as far as this entire air crash is concerned. Now let me very quickly, in fact we'll go across to both Vishnu and Shiv to get more details of what's going on there. But let's just shift focus at this moment. These are the visuals that were captured just a short while ago. And this plane, which was in fact climbing, and then suddenly, in fact, it comes down and then crashes on the ground at the Dubai Air Show, where the Indian Air Force has now confirmed that the pilot, unfortunately, who was flying this plane, has passed away. According to the eyewitnesses, this aircraft, Tejas, a single-seat light combat aircraft developed by HAL, Hindustan Aeronauticals Limited, went down at around 2:10 local time, 2:10 p.m. local time, and the sources have in fact told NDTV that the pilot failed to recover from the negative G-force turn. This is the negative G-force turn is the force experienced in a direction opposite to that of gravity. Tejas is capable of performing negative G maneuvers, which is one of its features, and that is why a lot of questions, in fact, at this time remain unanswered to why this crash took place, what exactly happened. Now, a court of inquiry has been constituted, and details will keep coming on this. But very quickly, without any further delay, let me go across to my colleague Vishnu Shom, who is joining us at this moment. Vishnu, in fact, has been telling us all the small details of what has happened there. Shiv Arur also with me on this broadcast. Very quickly, Vishnu, these images, whosoever are seeing these images are absolutely shocked of what has happened. Just tell our viewers, what exactly the sequence of events that took place just before this crash.
So this footage comes from the Dubai International Air Show. For the last couple of days, we've seen the Tejas fighter performing aerobatics a couple of times a day, along with the Indian Air Force's Surya Kiran squadron. The Tejas in question over here flew for approximately 8 minutes. Flight displays like this do not last more than 11-12 minutes maximum. These are extremely high G, difficult maneuvers. There's a very high rate of fuel consumption because the pilot engages afterburner a great deal. This would have been towards the end of the display itself. The pilot was at a very low altitude, I would suggest at perhaps the lowest altitude of that flight display. He was performing a signature move of the Tejas aircraft, which is a negative G bank. Normally an aircraft would bank away like this. The Tejas, in the direction of its canopy, if this is the canopy of the aircraft, you'd bank away in this direction. The Tejas, because it's got very reliable fuel systems, a fly-by-wire control system which can actually manage it, actually allows the aircraft to go in a negative G scenario where everything is opposite. It's not, if something goes wrong, for example, to the pilot, it's not a blackout that he would get into, it's a red out. But that's a separate issue. But at that key situation, when the pilot tried to end that particular maneuver with very little gap between with him and the ground and tried to get out of it, it appears he entered a bit of a roll with no altitude present. By the just moments before the crash, it's clear that he did manage to bring the wings of the aircraft level, but then the vertical speed of the aircraft was too high and it mushed into the ground, ending his life.
Vishnu, just stay on with me. These are some new visuals of the moment, just moments after the crash. In fact, what you are seeing on your screens, ladies and gentlemen, let me just play them out here also on our screen full frame. This is what you are seeing at this moment. This is from the Dubai, air show, where this is just moments after the crash took place. This is the Tejas aircraft. and as soon as the aircraft went down, the visuals that you are seeing are the latest ones which have come out at this moment from Dubai, where you would see plumes of smoke going up, and this plane absolutely destroyed. Shiv Arur also with me at this moment. Shiv, one after another visuals are coming in. Unfortunate, but you understand this plane. You have reported on this right from the time of its inception. How surprising is it for the air warriors, for in fact the community of the crash that it has taken place today?
Ankit, the pilot of this aircraft was a test pilot, one of the most capable, well-trained, proficient aviators that the Indian Air Force has. So this is very surprising for something like this to happen. But military aviation, and especially display flying, is extremely risky. The margins of error are almost non-existent, and the video that you've got on your screen breaking on your show right now, Ankit, captures the last 60 seconds of this particular fighter's flight before it impacted the terrain. What it makes extremely clear is that the pilot had almost zero reaction time, zero margin to recover the aircraft once it was very, very close to the ground. And that's one of the reasons why, despite being able to display the aircraft's a huge amount of agility, its ability to execute what Vishnu described as a negative G-turn, where it's a nose-down turn, laterally tilted. By that time, he was simply too close to the ground, Ankit, to be able to recover the aircraft. Now, a test pilot, like the pilot who was flying this aircraft, would have been able to fly these aircraft to the limits of their endurance and abilities hundreds of times before. This particular pilot, I'm told, has thousands of hours on the Tejas as well. So there is no question of any training or capability gap as far as this is concerned. And that's the reason why I think it's going to take a measure of time and detail to go into the aspects of it, where there are practically microseconds to save an aircraft before it hits the ground. The court of inquiry has already started. Forensics have already happened. A small bit of silver lining, Ankit, if there is any silver lining to this tragedy, is that when it happens at an air show, there will be hundreds of thousands of videos, perhaps, of the crash, which means that the investigators will immediately have a huge wealth of visual information to get them started as to what happened.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what I was thinking. And for people, those who just see these aircraft, they don't understand. Of course, many people won't understand how precarious, important these details are. It's just a fraction of a second, possibly, that you have to make all those big decisions. But Shiv, very quickly, let me also understand this from you. Just tell our viewers a little bit about this Tejas aircraft. At a time it is also being seen as an important stopgap arrangement when it comes to our fighter squadrons in India, and the safety record of this aircraft before this tragic crash. All right. I think we've lost that audio line with Shiv. We'll just reconnect with him in just a second. We'll just figure that out and go back to our colleagues. But ladies and gentlemen, all right, let me also now at this moment go across to Vishnu while we are fixing that line with Shiv. Vishnu, now these visuals, and as Shiv was saying, you've also been analyzing and seeing these visuals. This is going to be a very, very important, all these visuals from various different angles.
You for half a second, because what we have on our screens right now is perhaps the clearest video so far. So let's just bring a camera person. If the camera person can zoom in on this, or if we can cut to this video, please, as soon as possible, then we can actually show our viewers. And I'm going to ask them to actually freeze for a second when I tell you to. Right, freeze over there. Right? All right. Okay. This is when things started going wrong. We'll play the video out one more time. Play next. Carry on. All right. So now start again. And when I ask you to freeze the footage, then you just freeze it so that I can explain to our viewers what is happening. What you are seeing now on your screens is the final moments of that Tejas aircraft. This is very clear footage. Freeze over here. Right. The aircraft is now banking to its left, right, and then it proceeds to move in a negative G maneuver in a little while. Let's play the footage, right? It then, right, it in fact, right, these are all the maneuvers, right? This is just before it crashes, but this is, we've got a longer feed. That's why this is impressive video that we are seeing over here. Everything appears to be all right over here. It's doing positive G turns. At this stage, freeze. At this stage, the Tejas aircraft is doing what is a negative G turn. This is the canopy of the aircraft over here. This is the tail of the aircraft, and you can see the wings of the aircraft. Normally, an aircraft in a position like this would move this way. But the Tejas, with its robust fuel systems, fly-by-wire control systems, is actually moving this way, right? It is moving this way. Let's move to the next couple of frames, and then I'll tell you when to pause so that, all right, pause there. While coming out of this maneuver, you saw the Tejas flying like this. The pilot enters into what appears to be a roll. Now that is sometimes the maneuver you do to get out of that negative G maneuver, or for whatever reason it was, the pilot entered into that roll. But it's this nose down attitude over here when you're actually very close to the ground, which ended up becoming a problem. So let's play this video a little bit more. Freeze over there. The pilot at this stage has come out of the roll, right, successfully. So the pilot at the controls, potentially fighting the situation. The wings are level of this aircraft. If there was altitude, zoom out a little bit on this. If there was altitude to play with, right, then the pilot would have pulled out and the aircraft would have continued. Instead, as you can see, the vertical rate of descent is too sharp. Play the video and you'll see, unfortunately, it happens in the blink of an eye, and that tragedy taking place. Now, the Chief of Air Staff, I beg your pardon, the Indian Air Force in a statement has spoken about the death of this pilot. They've confirmed the death of this pilot. The Chief of Defence Staff says that the armed forces stand firmly with that pilot. But this is tragic. It's taken place in a big international arena, but it is just the second crash of a Tejas aircraft since 2001. The first one was as a result of an engine problem that was not fatal. The pilot ejected. On this case, sadly, the pilot was not able to eject. So what I've done is actually run you through the final moments of the crash. Over here, everything seems fine. It's doing positive G banks. It's doing rolls. That's what the Tejas does extremely well. At a certain stage over here, you'll start seeing when things start going wrong. Right up till here, in what is about an 8.5 minute flight, stop, freeze over there, right? This is where freeze. This is where it's doing this maneuver called the negative G, right? It's a negative G bank. It's going actually like this, right? The pilot then decides or chooses to end that particular maneuver play, comes into a roll, right? But by then it's too late. So from this maneuver, the pilot comes into a roll to get the aircraft level, but is nose down just before that, no altitude to play with, and the aircraft crashes down. Now, we do not know, and I want to be clear about this, if this is pilot error or not. Investigators will have to find out. There could be a multitude of factors. There could be a combined, it could be pilot error, it could be an engine issue, it could be a fly-by-wire control system. Was there a bird ingestion? We do not know. We are only describing to you what this video quite clearly says. Ankit?
Vishnu, you've explained it very, very well, and this tells you exactly the expertise, of course, of our team. Vishnu, just giving us a sense of what happened, but make no mistake that there is a full court of inquiry which is going to take place, and that is going to determine exactly what happened, why this plane crash, and of course it has resulted in that unfortunate death of the pilot who was flying this. Vishnu, thank you for getting us all those details. I will very quickly, in just a moment from now, we'll go across to Shivarur as well to try and get other aspects as far as this entire crash is concerned, because at this moment this is something that has been spoken about not just in India. Of course, it happened at an international arena in Dubai Air Show. This is where this crash took place, and it is being spoken across the world at this moment. The crash of the Tejas aircraft, which is manufactured by Hindustan Aeronauticals Limited. We are waiting, of course, for more details and reactions to come in on this. Vishnu, before I let you go, very quickly, just for the benefit of our viewers, you know this aircraft very, very well. Just tell our viewers a little bit more about the capabilities of this aircraft and also the safety record of this aircraft.
Well, I've had the fortune of flying on the Tejas aircraft. I'm among the first civilians to have actually managed to get a sortie. The reason I say what I did is not to gloat about having flown on the aircraft, but to explain to our viewers that I've had an understanding of the systems on this aircraft. It's fly-by-wire control system. It's a digital fly-by-wire control system, which is extremely advanced. It's made in India. It's extremely robust. It's got a General Electric GE 404 engine. That's an American engine. It's known for its safety. It's known for its performance. It's got a carbon composite. It's got a composite wing form, structure. That's something that India has aced technology-wise. It's got Indian avionics on board. It's got an Israeli radar presently in the aircraft. This particular aircraft is a Tejas Mark 1 FOC. FOC stands for Final Operational Clearance. There are approximately 36 Tejas Mark 1 jets in service with the Indian Air Force, a handful of trainers as well. There are more advanced variants called the Tejas Mark 1A, which are entering service. There will also be a Tejas Mark 2 with an uprated engine and a somewhat larger aircraft, which comes into service later on. As I mentioned, it's possibly got the best safety record of any aircraft in the Indian Air Force. It made its first flight in 2001. There has been one previous crash that was attributed to an engine fault. The pilot ejected. On this particular case, this is the first fatal crash of a Tejas aircraft which has taken place. In a situation like this, a lot of viewers may be wondering, could the pilot not have ejected? And in fact, I would suggest that in this situation, a pilot doesn't eject. A pilot would, after being wings level in an aircraft where he's trying to recover the aircraft from a bad situation, fight till the very end, which is what this pilot did. Unfortunately, it was too late. This all happened in the blink of an eye. The speed of what happens in military aviation, this is what these pilots train for. This is what these pilots entered the Air Force to do. It all ends in just a second. So once again, I'll just run through this video. This is when things were okay. This was a few seconds prior to things going awry, things going wrong. This is when things started going wrong. That is that negative turn. The pilot gets into a roll over here to recover from that maneuver, but then prangs into the ground, mushes into the ground. Ankit.
Right, Vishnu, thank you for that explanation. Let me also bring in Shivarur at this moment. He's also joining us from the newsroom to get more details on this. Shiv, like Vishnu was describing, of course, this is something, the pilot tried right till the end to try and recover this aircraft. There was actually no time, no altitude for him to do, anything as far as this plane is concerned. But just tell our viewers and speak to us a little bit more about what does this mean for this aircraft, and of course, at the Dubai International Show, your prospects of it being in fact something that India could have exported.
That's a very important question that you're asking, Ankit, and one of the reasons why the Indian Air Force has been displaying the Tejas at air shows around the world is about the prospect of exporting the Tejas to interested customers in Latin America, in Southeast Asia, in the Gulf even. And in other countries in Eastern Europe, but this comes as a huge setback. There's no doubt about it. Let's call a spade a spade. When a crash like this happens, it is a big public dent on the image of the Tejas, and that is the visual aspect of it. But if you zoom out from the Dubai Air Show just for a moment, even though it's very difficult to do so when there's such a tragedy that happens, Ankit, the Tejas has had a very, very enviable safety record. It started flying in 2001, 0 accidents during its entire development cycle, which is almost unheard of in any new fighter. It had its first crash in 2024, about 8 years after it entered service in 2016, and today is the second crash. The first crash, the pilot managed to eject. In this crash, tragically, the pilot is lost. So in 24 years of flight, Ankit, one pilot has died in a Tejas crash, and 2 aircraft have been lost, which is a remarkable safety record for a fighter of this kind. Admittedly, the fighter is an active service in quite small numbers at this point of time. That could be one argument. But let's make no mistake, the Tejas is a frontline fighter. It is flown extensively by the Indian Air Force. As Vishnu just pointed out, there is a huge twin deal for about 180 aircraft of a version called the Tejas Mark 1A, which is basically a far improved version of the Tejas, Ankit, that is going to start entering service any time now. So make no mistake, the Indian Air Force loves the Tejas. It has bet huge amounts of budget on the Tejas. There's going to be a future version called the Tejas Mark 2, which will have an even more powerful engine. It is important for the Indian Air Force to be able to display the Tejas at international air shows, because like you rightly pointed out, there is interest in the world market, for a low-cost light fighter like the Tejas, instead of going in for the much more expensive fighters that are on offer from the Europe and the United States, China as well. So this will come as a setback. It will have to go through the investigative cycle as well. But I'm sure the Indian Air Force and the Tejas will bounce back at this time, Ankit.
Vishnu, Shiv, thank you so much for getting all these important details for our viewers, those who are tuning in at this moment on Nationwide. Tragic, a life has been lost of a very experienced pilot. And of course, the court of inquiry is going to get to the bottom of why it happened.